I'm Lydia from Novelty, and today I'm doing the 25 random facts about you and books book tag. My first fact is that I remember my mom reading to us every night when I was like 3 and 4, and that went on for a long time. So I think that's where I developed my first love for books. My second fact is that I was homeschooled, and as kids we were supposed to read, and every book we read we got to choose a prize, and some of the prizes were other books, and those are my favorite prizes. Number 3, when I was a little girl I fell with a stick and it went up my throat, and when we were waiting to get help getting it out, my oldest sister read to me, and I remember being into the story even though I was in great pain. Number 4, I have 658 physical books that I own, plus a whole bunch on Kindle. But actually some of the books are other family members and I just keep them on my shelves. Number 5, I have 3 published books. Fact number 6, in 2015 I read 180 books, and in 2016 I read 98 books, and so far this year I have read about maybe 73 books. Fact number 7, I read Treasure of the Snow, which takes place in a Swiss Alps. I read it while in Switzerland. Number 8, I read The Hiding Place, which is a non-fiction book about World War II, where this family went and hid Jews, and I read part of the book and bought this copy of the book while in the actual room where they hid the Jews in the house in Holland. So that was one of my favorite memories ever. Number 9, I review all the books that I read, and I review them on Goodreads and sometimes on Amazon. Number 10, I have been receiving books for review since April of 2012. Number 11, the most pages I remember reading in a 24-hour period was on the 4th of July about 4 years ago, and it was a trilogy and maybe about 1,250 pages altogether. Number 12, my favorite genre is historical fiction. Number 13, I rate most of my books with 3 stars, although I'm trying to get out of that habit because I think it's a little bit of a cop-out, so I'm trying to go more with 2 stars and 4 stars instead of always being in the middle. Number 14, I am not part of any fandom, although there are times where I kind of wish I was so that I could fangirl with different people who actually understand why I'm so excited about a certain book. Number 15, I used to repeat whole books to people so thoroughly that it would take a couple hours to tell about one book, and my aunt used to put me on pause, quote unquote, when she wanted to say something because she would call me an audiobook. Number 16, I read while doing everything like brushing my teeth and walking and doing dishes sometimes and cooking sometimes and all that kind of stuff. Number 17, I used to try to learn how to read upside down, but unfortunately it gave me a headache. There was like this dream I had of learning to read upside down while crocheting with my toes, and I forget there was something else I was going to add to it, but unfortunately that did not work because my toes are not long enough to hold a crochet hook, and as I mentioned, the reading upside down gave me a headache. Number 18, a couple weeks ago I got my wisdom teeth removed, and I took a new book to the dentist with me because I thought it would be a lot of fun to read a book right after I was awoken from my surgery, because you're not supposed to remember anything later on, so therefore I figured I could read the story and then I could read it again later, and I'd be like getting a new book twice. But unfortunately that did not work because number 1, I had a headache that was preventing me from concentrating on reading. And number 2, I remembered everything that happened after getting my teeth removed anyways, so even if I had been able to read, I still would have remembered what was going on. Number 19, as children, we had to write a book report every week, and if we did not get it done on time, then we did not get our allowance for that week. Number 20, I used to have a health problem that made it so that I was awake a lot at night, and so it would not be unusual for me at all to be awake all night reading, and I would go out on our porch, and it was so much fun to read with the nighttime creatures singing in the background. And so I have a lot of good memories of that time in my life. Number 21, I like my books to be lived in, as in, I like when books are new and they look perfect, but then I also like what it looks like when books are all messed up, and it's as if they have a whole new story to tell, not just what's written in them, but also like, okay, so where did it get this tear, or this stain, or this crease, etc., and who read it before me, and all those great kind of things. So I like used books, and I like when they look used. Number 22, I like to loan out my books because I think it's so much fun to share the joy of my favorite authors and favorite stories with other people and have them see how amazing books are too. Number 23, I grew up with Hardy Boys mysteries and Nancy Drews and boxcar children mysteries, so all those books made me love mysteries, but I very much dislike violence or creepiness in books. Number 24, I like to read both physical books and I like to read Kindle books because they both have like their benefits. Kindle books, for instance, can be taken on trips without weighing you down too much, etc. But obviously there's nothing like holding a real physical book and hugging it. I like to hug books. I will literally go in bookstores and just hug books. But yes, Kindle books are also amazing. And number 25, I am really picky with the books I read, especially with endings. Hardly ever do I find an ending that satisfies me. So when I do, that instantly hikes the rating up a whole lot.